Dateline, September 8th. Today. In 1943, was it? Italy surrendered?
Probably.
I'll bet you didn't know that.
You know, I bet I knew it for a test at one point.
Obviously, it was in your short-term memory banks.
Yes, it was.
Welcome to Chat with the Docs, the only place on the internet where you can hear about parasites,
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease.
Sometimes politicians if we don't get cut off.
The only place where you can get a laugh, irritate YouTube and everyone else. Welcome. And once again, we've made it through the week without any cease and desist letters that I know of.
No $50 bills, though.
Yeah, come on, guys. At least put it on the back of a $5 bill.
Something.
I'm cheap. Tape it to a quarter.
Coin shortage.
Oh.
That's why that's not happening.
Yes. Well, shut my mouth.
Somebody did
That would be a nice change, wouldn't it?
They did give me one of those 50-cent JFK coins, though, the other day.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
I used to collect those when I was a kid.
I think I had some, too, when I was younger. I think they're like in a jewelry box or something.
Well, you will notice this week that we are back on our normal digs because we're not interviewing anybody. We thought we needed the front lobby last week to do it. We probably could have done it here. But as a result, we had an untimely guest, as you recall.
Hey, Mr. Postman. oh.
You know, this that did give a new meaning to regular like the postman.
It did. See, I didn't get to witness that because I had a patient come in early that I stuck around with while you guys were still filming, so I didn't get to see the.
In real
fun.
estate, location is everything.
Yes.
In showbiz, timing is everything. He had both. Wowee!
The question was he on time from his normal route? I know.
I
always
don't
see
know.
them
Normally
in the
we're
afternoon.
back here.
I feel like we always got a different one though too, so it might not even be the regular.
Well, he was a regular. He's very regular. If you missed the show last week, you got to go back and watch it. And just before the end, you'll see what we're talking about. At any rate, welcome to Chat with the Docs. I am Mo, the head acupuncturist at the Siloam Center for Traditional Medicine, and
I'm Dr. Noelle Markleski, the chiropractor here at the Siloam Center.
And together we're the two quacks. Hey, Mr. Postman. That's our new single. Anyway.
We both got ducks too, so that goes
well,
with
we
it.
do both have ducks.
Oh.
Are your ducks in a row? Mine are more in a gaggle.
Mine
which is
chased me
odd
this
because that
morning.
means they're trying to be geese.
I wore a skirt this morning, well, a long dress, and the one went after me, and I felt him bite the back of my leg. So he might be made to jerky if he keeps that up.
Nothing quite like getting gummed by a duck. This is the Chat with the Doc show, and this week is Open Line. It's not Open Line Friday because it's obviously not Friday. We chose to do this on Tuesdays.
Not stand-up comedy. Just call
Tuesday. Yes. So theoretically, you can get through via Facebook, which some folks have been having a hard time. So we have Carrie firmly ensconced at the front desk, listening for your calls, and she is going to get a hold of me on this thing here. If, in fact, somebody calls, how cool is that?
Very cool.
I mean, it's almost as though we're legitimate.
We are.
I don't know. My parents still argue about. Anyway, he's not mine. Yes, he is. So the phone number, if you want to get on the show, and I should have done this up at the front. Phone number, if you want to get on the show to ask your questions, is 608-314-8791. 608-314-8791. You'll call, you'll talk to Carrie at the front desk. She'll ask you what your question is, and she'll get a hold of me on this thing. And she'll say, "Hey, Matt, you got Bill such and such on line 1. He's got a question about a goiter. Probably she won't say that. But, you know, Carrie, if you're watching, and considering we're paying you to watch this, I would hope that you are. But I wouldn't blame you if you're not. Never mind. Anyway, you were on vacation.
I was up in Door County.
How was it, a door or a jar?
It was a door.
Let's answer the age-old question. It was a door. And you went parasailing.
Yes. Friday was really good. Saturday was really good. So that's when we did most everything. Sunday was a little bit windy, but no, it was like Saturday was perfect. It went great. Parasailing's a lot of fun. I'd recommend. I don't even like heights, but it was still fun. So.
Cool. I have never been parasailing. The idea of a parachute just grates me the wrong way. There's one reason for a parachute.
When you need it for that moment.
And it's for that moment. And if you're a postman that's watching, we're not talking about that moment.
I thought hang gliding looked like it'd be fun.
Hang gliding would be fun, but then you have an airfoil, you have a wing. Mm-hmm. And as long as there's a good solid wing, I have no problem with the heights.
Yeah.
It's when you're clinging to the side of a rock and the wind is trying to blow you off of it, or when you're up high on a ladder, or hanging from a couple of cords, that I have a real problem with it.
It was really weird though, just seeing that carabiner. You saw the 2 pieces of metal and you knew that, and then one rope with a knot. We're like, we got one knot in there. Like that better be a good knot.
When I was a kid, we went to the Ravalli County Fair in Montana, and my sister wanted me to take and get on one of those rides that goes around and around and spins you.
Okay. The scrambler?
I don't know what it was called. I just remember thinking, I don't want to do it. But I went, and you're standing in line, and you see the chain that's driving the thing, and the chain's going, and then you look at the guy that's running it. And you wonder, did he pull all of his teeth to be pragmatic, or did it just kind of happen? And you look at the quality of his tattoos, and you can tell which were professional and which were prison. And it made me wonder whether it was safe to get on that thing that's going to flip you around and spin you, and now you've got centrifugal forces trying to rip you out of your chair.
I think they need one prison tat to even get the job, though.
That
in
could
their
be.
defense.
That could
in their
be.
defense.
That could be.
Maybe a glass eye.
Ooh.
To really focus on that ride, you only got one.
That would be cool. It's the eye of the tiger, man. So, I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, I would definitely go back up there. So there's stuff we left just because you can't hit it all in one shot. Otherwise, it's just not as memorable, and it was great.
I had the experience of a lifetime Saturday night. I was laying there in bed. I was half asleep.
This is what you told me about before.
Yeah, I was half asleep, and my wife and I were watching a movie, and she moved, and suddenly I felt something go marching across my earlobe and going into my ear, and whatever it was, I think it was a fan of Ben Vereen, because it started tap dancing on my earlobe and wouldn't stop. And I you got that while it's running in place on your earlobe, and I felt some burning pain back in this. It was horrible, and tried to stand up, and equilibrium's off and everything else, and made it to the bathroom, and I was using a sinus rinse to try to rinse my ear out. Couldn't get it to come out, and every time that I squirted in there, it got just intensified. So then I've squirted peroxide in there, hydrogen peroxide, and then my daughter showed up with a gallon of olive oil and dumping olive oil in my ear, and had a very silky beard after that, though. And anyway, whatever it was, the peroxide and olive oil killed it. And trying to get it out, and you try to use the little suction things, and you try to squirt stuff. I could not get this stupid thing out. It's 11 o'clock on Saturday night. You're kind of limited in your options. And my wife says, "Honey, do you want to go to the ER?" And I said, "For a bug in my ear? No." That's kind of as dumb as, "I've got a bad cold, so I'm going to the ER."
Do you have a scope here?
I have an otoscope. It's kind of hard to get your eye around to it, though.
Okay.
I couldn't check it. My wife stuck it in there and said, "There's something in there. I can see it's hind end." And so I went to bed, slept as best as I could. Not much, because you've got something stuck in your ear,
right, yeah.
and you're thinking this other ear is exposed. So I laid there for much of the night, and I was thinking about charcoal filtered earmuffs and how that might be a thing. So, Doc, you guys heard it here first. Patent pending.
Yeah.
You want to go in on that?
Yeah, we can go in on that.
So to get your charcoal filtered earmuffs, just send us $5.99. Well, let's up the ante. Send us 3 easy payments of $5.99.
There we go. Shipping at least is going to cost $5.
So Mr. Sunday morning, regularly it costs that. So Sunday morning I get up. I have a Bible study with some young men, so we did the Bible study online. And
that's
I'm
what I was
like
thinking.
this.
It's twitching in the ear.
And get done with it. I said, "Guys, I'm cutting this short because I got to go to urgent care." "Well, what's going on?" "I've got the original wet willy going on." So I went into urgent care, and of course they scan you and ask you what kind of symptoms you're having. "I'm not having any symptoms. I've got a bug in my ear. Would you please get somebody to wash it out? Either tweezer it out or wash it, whatever you got to do. It's driving me nuts." So when they verify that they can't give you a COVID diagnosis, then they make you sit. These people were great. They got me back in a decent time. They looked in there and said, "Yep, there's something in there." The doctor came in and tried to tweeze it out, and every time he'd start to pull, my left leg would go, and he'd say, "Does that hurt?" And I said, "No, it's just connected." And
did he get any ear hairs while he was doing that?
I'm sure he did. I'm a middle-aged man. There's going to be ear hairs. And,
what was the longest one? 2 inches?
I don't know. Evidently it connected. I don't know if it connected to my toes or to my heel.
Was there one coming out the nose and it went all the way through and got it? Or
no, but by the time we were done, he had a couple nurses making a rope.
Somebody's gonna get a sweater for Christmas.
Woohoo! So then they hosed it out, and it was. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
It was a tiny little wasp, about the size of the length of my thumbnail.
When you said the name, and I had to look it up, and I was just like, how do these things find you, and why are they drawn to you?
Well, I'm just hoping the IRS doesn't find me.
Because, well,
I pay my taxes. So I'm a good citizen.
Because not only was it just a wasp.
YouTube's going to hand me over now.
Not only was it just a wasp, it was a parasitic wasp.
Parasitoid.
Okay.
Parasitic is they want to keep you alive. Parasitoid is they want to kill you to feed you to their offspring. So if I have a couple of wasps come out of my ear singing, "I just gotta be me," then we'll know where they came from. What's the gestation on a wasp?
For that kind, I do not know.
No, I'm not saying a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. I mean the little bug kind.
I was gonna say I pulled up those little black ones I've seen before. The one that you had.
Well,
not that I know of that I've ever seen it.
You see him every once in a while.
It was kind of clear.
Yeah, he was cool. He was cool. I don't recommend getting them in the ears though.
This was in your house or you outside?
This was in our house.
Okay.
This was in our house. It was just one of those freak things
I know you live by the
that
river,
happened
right?
to a freak.
Because you live by the river,
We
correct?
do.
Is that something that
it's
they're
not even
more-
a van. I don't own a van.
Is that something that they're more around water sources like that, or was this just
I think
an
it was
occurrence?
I think this was
Occurrence.
just a weird
Okay.
occurrence. I think he got in around the air conditioner because the light was on, and he saw the light and said, "Ooh, I'm going to go check out the light. Go into the light. Go into the light." And ended up finding my ear.
That's so interesting. Now I want to look up and see if they're that common in Wisconsin. I can see all the stuff tries to come in now because it's getting cool though.
Yeah.
I had 4
Yeah.
mice in my basement when I got home.
Really?
Yeah.
I had 2 Jehovah Witnesses and a contractor wanting to put a new roof on, trying to get in. I said, I don't care if it's cold at night. You stay outside.
Mine were on stick traps and they found themselves back outside. So
I went out last night because something was chasing our ducks.
oh no.
It was another duck. So, anyway, since both of you have waded through 16 minutes of this, kudos to you. Mom, thank you for watching. Mercy Joy, I'll be home immediately afterwards. So there goes our audience.
Well,
John, why aren't you watching this? Anyway.
I was going to say, we haven't gotten a call quite yet, right?
Nope. I don't think so.
Well, another thing that I saw today that I thought was interesting, people, because it's starting to get cooler out, and Carrie also mentioned this, that it's more comfortable to exert yourself, to do some runs, different stuff like that, because of the cooler air. The humidity is starting to drop down a little bit with this.
The mold count is high.
Oh, they chopped the corn behind my house yesterday, and it was killing me slightly.
Killing me slightly with this mold. The mold is high.
Yeah.
And for those of you who struggle with mold, you're going to have irritability. You're going to have foggy thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You probably...
Anger. That's just my normal person,
rage.
Though. It's my normal. I can't help that.
I'm glad I'm not one of your ducks. I'd end up in a pot. Stew pot. You stew pot, duck mo.
Well, I would say 2 with the mold, and then I'll go back to the running. So I don't think we're quite there yet because we're only into September. At least I hope we're not there yet. Switching over from air to heat, definitely put a new filter in.
Definitely, before you switch over.
Yep.
And if you can, vacuum out your ducts as best you can.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely change over your filter. Try to keep your windows open for as long as you can so that you're getting fresh air into the house.
And then you're slowly getting acclimated to the different seasons.
And it'd be good to, while your windows are open now, turn your heater on, your furnace on, so that it's blowing and any dust and mold spores that are in there can get outside. Well, it's a waste to turn that on when the windows are open. Well, yes, it is, but there's a functional reason for it. So, because when you turn that furnace on for the first time in the year,
it almost like a hairdryer smell.
Notice nobody on earth has tried to make a cologne or perfume to smell like that. There's a reason, because it's rank. It's not something you want to have around. So try to open your house up when you turn that on. So it's best to get ready now. Yep. The other thing is, it's gray and it's yucky and wet out there. This is the time where people need to start ramping up their vitamin D.
Yep.
Yes, it's going to be sunny again at the end of the week, but it's going to be a little cooler. People are not going to be spending as much time out. People are going to be more covered up. You're not going to be producing as much vitamin D. You need to make sure that you're starting to supplement your vitamin D. I always like at this time of year, start putting people between 10 and 15,000 IUs.
And some of those droppers, like we have the liquid one, I want to say it's 1,000 IU per drop.
Per drop.
Yep. So you can even put that in your coffee and just slug her back. So those are the things.
What else do you put on your coffee?
It all depends. Sometimes I'll do it black. Other times it's...
I haven't seen her come in tipsy yet, so I don't think she's putting that in her coffee.
No, I try not to do that early. I try to save that for night or on special occasions. Sometimes I put way too much sugar, and I'm working on that one because that's not good. That just feeds the little, parasites and things. But
Feeds the friends.
yeah, we don't need to feed the friends.
Got a question
Ooh,
here
good.
coming in over Facebook. Facebook Messenger saying long history of rashes on face and knees. You've mentioned this possibility of this being parasitic before. Diagnosis in the past was psoriasis. I'm trying to abbreviate so I don't have to read word for word.
How old is this?
Didn't say.
Okay.
So, number one, whenever you've got something on the skin,
Mhm.
there's two places you look. You look at allergies and you look at liver.
Yeah.
How's that liver draining? So my first question would be to you, do you have any history of allergies? Second question would be, or even food sensitivities. Second question would be, are you having at least 2 good bowel movements a day? If you're not, then that's the place to start. Because what happens is that liver gets backed up and those toxins that the liver's trying to push out. Remember, 80% of the toxins in the body get pushed out through the liver. There's a good chance they're being retaken up and deposited in the skin, and they're going to vent through the skin.
And the skin is a reflection of what's going on the inside.
That's right. So if you have inflammation on the skin, you have inflammation inside.
Because like sometimes you can even look up, they'll have dairy face, where it'll be kind of through here. You can have wheat face, it's through here. You can have too much alcohol.
And then it's just red through the sclera and
maybe the nose.
Red nose. Yeah, you look like a senator.
There's different, Pelosi. There's different things that'll
get out the hair dryers.
Another thing I was thinking though too, and it could be totally off, but with the knees in there too. Even systemic inflammation, maybe even like lupus or RA or something, to that effect.
But then you're looking at autoimmune disorder, and you're now looking at something that's triggered that autoimmune, because autoimmune just doesn't happen.
Something turns it on.
So something turns it on.
Either allergy or liver, like you said.
Well, and there's usually something even deeper, chronic infection, like a Lyme infection or an Epstein-Barr infection that's triggered this autoimmune situation. So when you're dealing with these types of rashes, there's a number of areas that we have to look in. There are IgG and IgA food sensitivity panels that can be done to check for food sensitivities. There's a really nice one, I can't remember the lab, but they test 96 different nutrients, 96 different basic nutrients. You can if you have questions about that, give us a call here and we can refer you up to the Family Clinic of Natural Medicine in Madison to get one of those. I think it's around $150 or $200. They're very helpful. The other way you can check is you come in and we do a workup using an AET, and we work you through the basic nutrients as well as other foods that we have, that we can test you on. So you look at food allergies, food sensitivities, you look at how well the liver's draining, and then you have to look at what the liver's trying to drain. You look for chronic infection. Those 3 things. It could be bacterial, it could be You need a kazoo. Think of it.
Dollar Tree, maybe?
If we had a kazoo, we could have gone.
That's pretty
parasites.
Good. I don't even think you need one. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but the kazooist union would come unglued if they saw me.
Oh yeah, you could replicate it that fast. Yeah.
If they saw me being fraudulent with kazoo sounds, yeah, we're deep. We just lost someone. We're back down to 3. We were up to 2. We were up to 3. Now we're down to 2.
But it's true with parasites. Are they actually physically blocking the duct?
Yes. And if they're blocking the duct, you've got to kill them. You've got to go in and you've got to actually eradicate them and dilate that duct to get them out. So when you've got rashes, those are the things that you look at. Another question coming in on Facebook. Nothing on YouTube yet. If you have any questions on YouTube, get a hold of us. If you're on another platform besides Facebook and YouTube, switch over to Facebook, switch over to YouTube, get a hold of us, or call us at 608-314-8791, and Carrie will get you on the show. So this question is about sleep. Are there supplements that you guys recommend to help with insomnia?
Yep, you helped me already with that.
Well, what would you normally do for insomnia from a chiropractic standpoint?
Adjust to help the nervous system to calm down.
Take them out of fight or flight, right?
Yep. Try not to do caffeine too late in the day if you got to do caffeine. And then it just kind of depends too how it's presenting. But those are like two really basic stepping stones.
Anytime you're dealing with an insomnia situation, number one, the first question I ask is it harder to fall asleep or harder to stay asleep? Because there's two different reasons there.
Medications too. That plays a big role.
Yeah. So is it hard to fall asleep or hard to stay asleep? Well, it's both. Ooh, gonna throw me a Mickey Finn here. Is it hard to fall asleep because your mind is racing? Yeah. Does that happen worse around a full moon? I don't know. Do you grind your teeth a lot? Yeah. See, now we're starting to get into that parasite issue. Mm-hmm. No, my mind just won't stop racing. I can't fall asleep, or I wake up at about 1 a.m. and my mind is racing.
And that can be liver too, correct?
There's
certain timings.
Yeah, that would be liver. And so then we would be looking at the pulses. If that guan pulse on the left-hand side, that second pulse, is really big and bounding, then there's a lot of liver heat there. In which case we would be looking at something called Jai Wei Xiao San, which is really fun to say. Come on, say it with me. Jai Wei Xiao San. Anyway.
I'll leave it to you.
Now the Musicians Union's going to be mad at us. Send a cease and desist letter to us on the back of a... Never mind. The Jai Wei Xiao San is great for clearing liver fire. And we jokingly refer to it in acupuncture circles as the executive's herb, because every executive, high-power executive in a big city that gets acupuncture usually ends up on this herb to take them down out of that fight or flight mode that they're always in, that liver fire. But it's also got something in there called Xiao Yao San. It's Jai Wei Xiao Yao San. So it's a modification of an old Chinese formula that basically is rambling powder is what it means. And that Xiao Yao San is very powerful at dilating the liver and getting the liver to drain. Okay. So if you've got a lot of toxicity from alcohol, from chronic infection, from
bad diet,
just from cortisol and stress, it's not draining out. So then you add that Xiao Yao San with the Jai Wei Xiao Yao San to clear inflammation. Suddenly the liver's calming down, things are smoothing out, and the patient can sleep. If, however, the patient finds it hard to stay asleep or hard to fall asleep, and you take their pulses and their pulses are real fine and weak, and they're deeper than they're supposed to be, that's when you look at something that we talked about before, and that's the Shizandra Triple Z. The Shizandra Triple C is cool because it's not, giving you a tranquilizer. Suddenly you look like Kato Kalin after a bash. That's right. You're too young for a Kato Kalin joke.
I'm okay with my
Suddenly
youth.
You look like Jay-Z, Daddy. Never mind. Anyway, it's not a tranquilizer. It actually is a very unique blend of herbs that strengthen and tonify you, turn you up in specific organ functions, which then allow you to sleep.
Kidney tonic, right? Was what you said.
Kidney and spleen. Kidney
Okay.
and spleen. A little bit of heart, but mainly kidney and spleen. So the Shizandra Triple Z is a beautiful formula. It's not a classic formula. It's from evergreen herbs. but it's non-habit forming, and it's something that you can use it once. You can use it regularly for a couple of months to break a pattern. Phenomenal tool. Another option would be if if you take the pulses and the heart pulse is really low, that Sun position on the left-hand side is really low and deep, maybe even a little knotted. The person's deficient again. You could do the Shizandra Triple Z, but another option would be something called Suhetang. Suhetang is a great gentle formula for all things heart related, helping to strengthen the heart, helping to boost heart function. It also has you can make the argument for some spleen function as well, so digestive function. But these are some options within Chinese herbs that we use. Now, you go to a naturopath, you go to other chiropractors, they'll probably throw melatonin at you.
So that doesn't always work though for some people. Sometimes people get really, really off dreams. They're almost like hallucinations on it, because there's quite a few people that they've had bad reactions on it.
So that's one of the reasons I love the Chinese herbs, because it's specific for the pulse of the patient. It's not, well,
broad-based.
You've got this symptom, let's give you this supplement.
Or St. John's wort, which interacts with a lot of stuff.
I can't stand St. John's wort. It's the bane of my existence right now. Another 10 minutes, that'll change. Anyway, St. John's wort, yes, it interacts with so many things, and technically you're not supposed to be on it for more than 2 weeks at a time. But yet you get people with chronic mild depression.
They look it up and they see it on Dr. Google, and
they stay on it for long periods of time. So then what happens?
It creates more depression, doesn't it?
Creates more depression. And it throws off, not only is it throwing off neurotransmitters, but now you're throwing off hormone production, and it's just a downward spiral. And then it's throwing off how your medications and all of your other supplements are absorbing. St. John's wort can be helpful in a pinch, but it's not something that you can be on for more than 2 weeks at a time. And I know people who've been on it for years, and
I've heard another one is mugwort, another one that people will use for something. That's just one that I can think offhand that one of friends tried it.
Mugwort's used for a number of different things. The one application of mugwort that I'm really fond of, in fact, there's a whole section of Chinese medicine that actually uses it, is the Chinese will take the mugwort plant, they'll pick the leaves, and they will hang them and dry them for up to 20 some years.
Oh wow.
And then they will kind of floss them out. So it's this kind of wood wool cotton type texture. And you can take it and you can wad it up and put it over a needle over specific points and light it on fire on the needle. And it puts heat down into the body, but it also, the body will absorb compounds from that mugwort. It's called moxibustion.
Okay.
And you can take a lady who's, been having menstrual bleeding for months and months at a time. You utilize the right acupuncture points and you put the mox over the right spots, usually over spleen points, and you can shut the bleeding off.
Wow.
It's phenomenal.
Can it be a tea as well? Is that another application?
People do it. There is the potential of using it in tea,
okay.
and if I remember correctly, the oral type of mugwort would be aye, and that would be added to formulas. But again, in Chinese medicine, you don't often utilize the Chinese herbs individually.
Okay.
That happens a lot in the West. Oh, you're feeling fatigued? We'll just take some ginseng. And you can go to a truck stop and you can buy ginseng. It's crazy. I'm not going to say that it's good quality ginseng. Hey, Mac, want to buy some ginseng? Hey, no, never mind. So hopefully that answers your question about some supplements. Yes, you can do You can do the melatonin, but I don't see a lot of good results with that.
As they come in, actually get assessed for which one, because like we said, the different pulses,
Yeah.
there's different meaning behind them, different organs involved. You don't want to just take a guess and it's really not helping you, or kind of like the St. John's wort, it's going to get worse.
Very basic. Magnesium. Getting more magnesium into you.
Getting enough water.
A great place to start is taking a good hot Epsom salt bath with several cups of Epsom salt in the water, so that you're absorbing that magnesium. Your muscles relax, helps take you out of that fight or flight mode. Getting the right amount of exercise.
Yeah. And how late are you eating? Is your body burning fuel? Like you just put gas into the tank and now, you're creating energy, but you want to lay still?
Yeah.
You got to check with that too. And if it's spicy and you're getting heartburn or something like that.
Yeah. We have a question here. Young lady in the Philippines, actually, saying she's got a rash on her foot. She's worried that it's infection and isn't able to get to a hospital because of distance and lockdown issues. Number one, if you've got signs of infection showing up in your skin like that, the best place for you is going to be at a hospital. Mm-hmm. But if there are places in this world, i.e. you're writing in from the Philippines, where that's not a possibility right now. So if you have iodine handy, make a bath of water and some iodine and soak that foot in there. Do that for a couple of, three times a day for a couple of days. Maybe put 10 drops of iodine in 2 quarts of water and soak that foot in there. Wash that sludge off. And don't be afraid to put a little iodine on the area. I mean, before we had some really great disinfectants, that's what was used. Then after a couple of days of that, one of the things that you can do, and I know you guys have garlic there in the Philippines, but you can take garlic cloves, peel them, soak them in water for at least an hour and a half. Take 1 or 2 garlic cloves, soak it in a gallon of water. Take the garlic clove out after an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then soak the foot, the wound in that area in the garlic water. You will smell like a salad. But remember, it was this date back in 1943 that the Italians did surrender to the Allies. So you've got nothing to worry about unless someone shows up with anchovies. But no, seriously, if you can't get to the hospital, do the iodine, do the garlic soaking. Clinically, when I have patients show up here and they've been struggling with a MRSA infection and they fired their infectious disease doc because nothing's touching it, the garlic soaks will do the trick. If you have the ability to get to some ultraviolet light and a blue light, that will kill staph. That'll kill all kinds of staph. In fact, that's what hospitals are using now to disinfect is blue light. But if you don't have that option, I know you do have garlic. You can at least do garlic soaks. And message me, please, offline after the show so we can talk a little bit further about this.
There might even be some kind of telehealth they can do. I know it's a different country, but I know
perhaps
more people are adopting that too, that they might be able to get a hold that way.
Perhaps, but I would doubt it over there. Depends on where you're at. If you're in one of the cities, then that might be a possibility. If you're not in the cities, you're pretty much out of luck. My wife was over there about a year ago at this time, and all of the hospitals were full from dengue fever victims.
Okay.
They had a dengue outbreak. It was
It's a fly,
insane.
isn't it? That can do
Mosquito borne.
that? Okay.
Mosquito borne, and it's just
Dengue
excruciating pain, high fever. The way that it's typically treated in that other medicine that gets us shut off of YouTube whenever we say it. They monitor the platelet levels. They keep you hydrated, and if your platelet levels drop too far, they give you a transfusion.
Okay.
There's ways of treating it. Chinese medicine has been treating dengue fever for thousands of years successfully. You can treat it with an AET. You can treat it a number of ways. It's a shame that the hospitals were that overloaded for something that can be treated.
Mm-hmm.
But then that begs the question, once you have an acute dengue fever, do you end up with a chronic dengue? Kind of like a Lyme infection or even a malarial infection.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the long-term effects? And I don't know, as there have been too many studies to that end. But dengue fever fascinates me. Any other questions?
It's been rolling pretty good. Like people have been getting questions in.
Carrie, do we have anybody online? Nope.
Well, I was going to say before too, because we'll throw that in before we get too far along. Because I didn't know we'd be getting questions rolling like that, but that's awesome. And cut me off if we get any more. But I was to say with it being cooler out and the running and all that, more foot problems have been coming in. Because I know you had one that you've been treating.
Yeah.
With that, people do start running more, and you do start finding burning, aching, feet don't feel right.
Start getting neuropathies. Start getting a lot of Morton's neuroma.
Yep. And I mean, it can
Plantar
be
fasciitis.
It can be as simple as your arch is dropping. It could be that you have a Greek toe, or that the second toe is longer than the big toe, and it needs to shorten up so that
How
when
can you
you're
have a
hitting,
Greek toe if you're not even Greek?
I got it.
But you're not Greek.
It's also called a turkey toe.
Well, that makes more sense.
But I thought I would go for the Greek one. But your foot's trying to compensate that you don't want one long toe, hitting, so it makes it into a hammer toe to even out with the rest of them. But that's a common one that you can get a neuroma, you can get burning, you can actually get it where you get a bruise underneath that nail, then it lifts off and you get a new one.
And if you have chronic infections, Lyme, Babesia, Bartonella, you name it, these infections will love that tissue because it's already inflamed.
Yep.
So typically what I will do, what I did with this gentleman, I went to the opposite hand and I was treating his foot through his opposite hand, putting needles in the joints, putting it in between the joints, mirror imaging the toes that were inflamed and hurting. I think at one point we even put some down below in the palm because he had a little Morton's neuroma type sensation started in the ball of his foot. Had some very dramatic results at first, and then the results started to slow down, which is why I referred him to you, because when I would palpate that fibular head, I could tell things weren't quite right. Tissues were tight and ropey that shouldn't be, and that's when Dr. Noel comes in and does her thing.
And just the different joints, which the fibula to the tibia is one. There was also posterior chain tightness, all the way from glutes, hamstrings, gastroc, all the way down in that.
Now, this is a guy that's been seeing another chiropractor quite regularly. What gives?
Well,
this is why you need a good chiropractor.
And into
that can sing, "Hey, Mr. Postman."
I'll say, to their defense, they were working on some of it, and sometimes you just need, a different set of eyes. But I know, because we had pretty good conversation before the appointment, just what his history with different medicine has been.
Oh,
so it's getting there, but I know you're definitely helping him. That's been the most relief that he's he's found so far.
Well, the acupuncture removes the inflammation, and when you start removing the inflammation, soft tissue moves around, and sometimes, well, quite often, hard tissue will follow.
Yep.
But when you've got somebody who's an expert in moving those tissues around, why not take advantage? We have another question coming in. What is the best way to treat cold?
Like a common cold?
I'm assuming that's common cold.
Okay.
Number one, don't get it in the first place. That's the best way.
Keep your immune system up.
Keep your immune system up. We did an entire show on that at one point, didn't we?
Yeah, I
Seems
think that
like it.
was like early on.
One of the first shows that we did.
Yeah.
Back before we even had budget. Well, we still don't have budget, and that's obvious. But it was one of the first shows that we did. We talked about a bunch of different things that you can do to boost your immune function.
Yeah, vitamin D, eating, balanced diet.
But let's say in protest for something, you've licked a doorknob at Grand Central Station, and it happens.
Oh, I've seen people lick stuff. So
you do that, your immune system, there's no catching up. You're gonna get sick. What do you do once you start getting sick? Well, as with anything, whether it's a cold, whether it's a sprained ankle, whether it's a bad back, whether it's whatever it is, the earlier you catch it to treat it, the easier it's going to be to treat. Now, the normal life cycle of the cold in the body is going to be 10 to 14 days. So you're going to have those weird talking like this. You're going to have the aches and pains because, you've got inflammation in your body now.
But your body's also getting memory cells.
And your body's getting memory cells. Your Langerhans cells are producing all kinds of antibodies. You're feeling exhausted because now your mitochondria are switching over from making adenosine triphosphate to fighting this virus.
So you're feeling burnt out because your fuel source.
So how do we treat this?
Gears.
Well, vitamin C is shown to be very good for that. Vitamin D has been proven to be great for when you've got a virus.
I think that works better. Well, I know you take C as well, but that's a game changer once you start adding vitamin D.
Vitamin D works so well for so many things, but it's not going to kill the bug.
It gives you
Let me get my kazoo here. Chinese herbs will kill the virus. Ooh.
Which ones?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. There's a classic formula which translates to initial defense. There's a company called Kan Herbs that do a dropper full, an eyedropper. That works really well. Initial defense, when you catch it at the early stages, it'll either knock it out completely or it'll just shorten the length of it.
So when you start getting that little nose burn, little scratchy throat kind of deal, that early?
That kind of a haze that you feel like something's not right.
Mine's always that little bit of burning, in the nose that I can tell something's going down.
Yeah. I don't use that herbal formula because I've found formulas that I think work better.
Okay.
There's a formula from Evergreen Herbs. It's called Herbal AVR. I keep that in the inventory here because I use it for Epstein-Barr. I use it for cold. I use it for flu. It just viruses in general. It will knock them out. It's phenomenal. My mama said, knock you out. Hey, it's great for that. And it will drastically shorten the course if you wait too long. But 9 times out of 10, I get exposed to stuff all day long. If I go home and I'm starting to feel, something's not right, and I, treated 3 flus and a cold today, I'm going to start taking my herbs. I'll wake up fine. The other thing that you can do is get a warming liniment.
Like white flour?
White flour oil is phenomenal.
I've never heard of it before you, but
Woodlock
that's
oil is
awesome.
even better for this. It's hard to
Okay.
find woodlock oil right now in the States. The FDA got a burr under their tail over it. Too much camphor. But you take some of this liniment and you put it on the back of your neck, between the shoulder blades and
The Langerhans
across
cells.
the shoulders. Yes. And then you put your hoodie on and you sit there and you go, oh, I feel terrible. And you go to bed. You wake up fine most of the time. But the fumes will help you breathe a little better. But predominantly what's going to happen is they're going to be boosting the Langerhans cell production of antibodies. Bunch of answers to your cold questions.
Well, and
Now, if your question was, what do you do for cold? And you didn't mean the viral cold, but you meant, what's out there. Here's what you do. You get a U-Haul and you move to Phoenix. It's not cold there.
I was going to say too, like you had mentioned it, you treated 2 flus and a cold or something. Like before all the COVID stuff, we would say, come in, get acupuncture, get chiropractic. Things have been so weird with the COVID, but that's usually the go-to. Boost your nervous system, boost your immune system, do something natural that's going to help you in that way.
Yep. If you can get your body out of fight or flight, then your immune system's going to be out of fight or flight.
And that's what acupuncture and chiropractic.
But if your immune system's in fight or flight mode, you ever see those Muppet shows where the Muppets are running around? Are they accomplishing anything?
I do know the Muppets.
They run into each other. They don't accomplish anything. But if you can get your immune system from going to marching in step and going after the bad guys, huge difference.
Does Animal do that? Did he ever do that, or did he just...
I don't remember. I
always like him.
I've tried to block much of my memory of the Muppets out of my mind. It's not that easy being green.
It's pretty good.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to get that cease and desist letter on the back of a $5
gonna be
bill.
After you.
$5 bill.
Or Miss Piggy.
Miss Piggy, please keep in mind I'm a Jew and I'm married. It's not going to happen.
I can hear her voice too with answering to that. Oh, shucks, Kermie.
Listen here, frog. That wasn't right. Anyway, once again, you've wasted a perfectly good hour with us, and I thank you, both of you.
A lot of good info, though, today.
A lot of good questions, a lot of good info. And, we have 2 people on the YouTube platform, but who knows how many on the Facebook and who knows how many on the other platforms Heroes got us on. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of us via Facebook or YouTube, or get a hold of Hero through one of these other platforms, and he'll pass on the message to us. So until next week, number 1, try to remain as regular as your postman.
Hey.
Nobody came in the room.
No.
And it's that time. Number 2, guard your immune system, guard your sleep, keep your spirits up. Don't let yourself get down. There's no reason for it. As goofy as people are being right now, that's their choice. Let them be goofy. Make the choice.
Choose happiness.
Choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. And joy is a gift from God. So make the choice, and that will go a long way towards your wellness. So on behalf of everyone here at the Siloam Center, I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for your questions all the way from the Philippines. That's cool.
That's cool.
If we can get one from Swaziland. Anyone in Swaziland that's watching, if you can send me a question, that would make my day. I bet you don't even know where Swaziland is.
Is Miss Piggy there?
No, but it's a beautiful place. Until next week, Thank you for watching, and may the Lord bless you all.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.